And one of the things that I wanted to touch on today was the power of facing your demons. It's heavy. We're in a time where many people are running to or running from whilst they're bleeding, and they're not facing the thing that is causing that bleeding. They're not facing the thing that is causing that issue. You can't run away from a situation. There's some situations that you just generally have to tackle head on. Your business cannot grow beyond your healing. Your relationship cannot go beyond your healing. Your friendship cannot go beyond your healing. Your motherhood, your fatherhood, whether you're a parent, a friend, whatever you show up as, you cannot go beyond your healing. Because the reality is, the demons you're running away from, when you're not willing to face them, they will manifest. Hey, it's your girl, Hayley Mulenda record. Right? You got to get the name right. And I'm super excited to be back for this episode of the Building You podcast. If this is the first time you've been here, just know that this podcast is all about building you. I'm all about building the person whilst they build that empire. I'm currently still here in Dubai. I've been in Dubai now for about 5-6 weeks. And whilst I've been here, there's just so many things that I've been learning. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on today was the power of facing your demons. It's heavy. I'm going to be very honest. This is going to be a trigger warning. I will be talking about some heavy stuff in here that might be triggering. So I definitely would say take it seriously. But if you need to pause, recalibrate, it's okay. But I think we need to really talk about this. And the reason why I say this is because we're living in a time where many people are running from something, running to something, and people don't like to face anything. In 2018, I lost my cousin, and I lost my cousin when it came to knife crime. The reason why I share this is because when my cousin passed away, unfortunately, he was stabbed. And I remember when I was having the conversation with my family, when they were talking about basically what was the cause of death. He was in a fight and he ended up getting stabbed. He didn't realize he had been stabbed. And what happened is that because of adrenaline, he kept fighting, he kept moving, and he kept bleeding whilst he was moving. So it was only when he was able to be still, it was too late for him to attend to the bleeding. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because we're living in a time that there's many people who are leading and bleeding. We're in a time where many people are running to or running from whilst they're bleeding, and they're not facing the thing that is causing that bleeding. They're not facing the thing that is causing that issue. Now, if there's anything that I've learned in life, is that you can't run away from a situation. There's some situations that you just generally have to tackle head on. And I find that we live in a time that some people generally don't like to face what they're currently going through and what they're actually going through. We have a pacifying culture. And what do I mean by a pacifying culture? You're trying to pacify that even with a new relationship, trying to pacify that with money, trying to pacify that with even sometimes faith. Ooh, can I go there? Can I go there? Listen, I'm a person of faith. Anyone that knows me knows I love God, I love Jesus, I love the Bible. And I really do believe that, Jesus brings healing. But I believe that it's also transparency. The Bible says that those who boast in their weaknesses shall find his strength. And I find some people don't want to be transparent before God. In Genesis chapter 1, when it talks about God creating, man was created to be naked. I generally think that God ordained us to be naked with him and to be naked with each other. But to be naked means to first accept before God that I'm struggling with something, being honest. And I find there's a lot of people who pretend in the church. Jesus, can I go there? Oh. And that's what I mean in terms of trying to pacify it through faith. Like there's some people who their ability to face their demons will make them look weak as a Christian, will make them look weak as a believer of God, right? Whether you're a Christian or not, being able to believe in God, even when you admit that you're going through something that's hard, it may be hard for you to actually admit it because it's like, oh, but you're meant to be a person of faith or you're meant to be a believer of God. That ability to really be honest and say, yo, I'll be honest, right now I'm struggling. At the moment, we're building our business in different countries, scaling internationally. God's really opened up amazing doors. But if I'm being honest, the higher that I'm going and the more rooms and the more places God is placing me in, the more I'm realizing how much I need to heal. The more I'm realizing how much I need a mirror. The more I'm realizing that I can't run from and I can't run to, I need to face and attend to. Because we're in this hustle bustle culture, which is all about, yeah, let's build. Yalla, come to Dubai, come to America, come to the UK. Everyone's like, let's go, let's do this. I want to build, I want to do 6 figures, 7 figures, because everyone's on that 6-figure flex now. Everyone wants to be doing, yo, I'm on a 6-figure, I'm striving for the 6-figure, the 7-figure, whatever they're building towards. If you are looking to secure the bag, but you lose yourself in the process, you've lost altogether. We're living in a time where people are trying to profit the world and losing their soul. It's one of my favorite scriptures. What does it gain a man to gain the world and he loses his soul? And the Bible actually says that you only prosper as much as your soul prospers. Healing is the most important thing that you can do. you. Your business cannot grow beyond your healing. Your relationship cannot go beyond your healing. Your friendship cannot go beyond your healing. Your motherhood, your fatherhood, whether you're a parent, a friend, wherever you show up as, with your career, in your job, you cannot go beyond your healing. Because the reality is, the demons you're running away from, when you're not willing to face them, they will manifest. And a lot of us as well, our adulthood is just an echo of our childhood. And if you don't deal with anything in your childhood that you're refusing to, trauma's like a volcano. You can keep it under wraps, but the pressure is only going to get worse. As you get older, it will pile and pile and pile. And what you don't ever want to be at is in a time of success or in a time of glory, and your trauma literally goes psh, because you refuse to deal with it in the years that God had called you to deal with it, when there was no one there. And I'm at a place where my following is increasing. I've got more eyes on me now than ever. And I know that this is the perfect time for me to even just come be like, you know what, Hells? Don't use the stage as therapy. Don't use your platform as therapy. I used to be somebody that when I wanted to run, I used to go on my Instagram stories, repost things that would indirect people who hurt me. Listen, I've been there, done that. And I remember when I was having a conversation with my husband, when he was going through my Instagram stories, and he knew obviously why I'd be posting certain things in my stories. And he'd be like, babe, like, you might have to heal in that area. And it was hard for me to hear. And I got very defensive. But it's true though, especially for someone like me, where I understand my calling is with dealing with people. Like, I'm a speaker. I have to deal with people. I have to interact with people, I have to communicate with people. And if I'm somebody that I'm wounded in an area with people, it's going to affect how I show up at work. It's going to affect how I show up with business. I have to trust people in my business. And if I don't deal with those areas of my life, which I currently am dealing with right now and healing through, if I don't heal through maybe a betrayal I had in sisterhood, or maybe even a last heartbreak, which I'm not dealing with, I'm just giving an example, this is going to affect how I show up in my everyday life. We're living in a time where people are so obsessed with success, they're refusing to deal with their demons in the process. I'm very big on healing. I'm big on the idea of the fact that if you need to go therapy, go to therapy. If you need to journal, go and journal. If you need to go for a walk every single day, do what makes things easier for you. But I definitely would say 110%. First, it comes from acknowledgement. The doctor can never prescribe you anything if you are not willing to first acknowledge your symptoms. A lot of people, especially in the Afro-Caribbean community and men, it's actually been said that when it comes to cancer scares, they leave it very last minute because they don't want to accept the symptoms, or they just assume that it's not that deep. I think that a lot of people do that with their internal healing. And what I mean by that is, yes, there's physical symptoms that, you know, are more likely to be visible to others, but the internal symptoms are much more dangerous than anything that's physical. And what do I mean by that? If you're somebody who you are having like anger outbursts, if you're somebody who can't sleep properly, you're having panic attacks, if you're somebody who's feeling anxious often, you know, feeling overwhelmed, stress, all these things, a lot of scientists have actually said, and even those who are working in medicine have actually said, a lot of issues and health issues actually come from the subconscious. They come from your lack of healing. It comes from trauma. And I've said this before about trapped development. So I'll tell you what trapped development is. It's basically that you can have somebody who's 60 years old and they basically haven't developed beyond the years of 28 because something traumatic happened to them at the age of 28. And what happens is they become trapped at that age, so they can't develop beyond that because trauma has them trapped at that age. If I'm being honest, there's many people who are in that place. Many people who can't see beyond a particular age, or can't see beyond a particular heartbreak or certain things that happen traumatically to them at that age, and it's affecting their everyday life, and they're trying to pacify it. They're trying to go out to the clubs, they're trying to drink, they're trying to do all these things, they're trying to find this medication, right, rather than trying to do meditation. Hello somebody, can I get an amen? You're trying to find medication, you're trying to pacify that pain rather than just addressing it. I want to be transparent, guys. I try to be real. Anyone that has ever been in any of my speaking engagements, my keynotes, I have a keynote basically called Real Models, Not Role Models. But the idea of being real and making real ideal. I don't ever want to be a role model. And I'm against the idea of being a role model. Why? Because I hate the idea of feeding into perfectionism. Dr. Brene Brown comes to say that perfectionism doesn't stop you from being judged. It stops you from being seen. And I 100% agree with that. Perfectionism doesn't allow you to be seen for who you are. And it doesn't allow you to embrace humanity. You know, when I actually really started to deal with my humanity and deal with my demons and deal with the things that I was facing in my life, deal with my trauma, I started to extend more grace to myself because I'm not God. I'm not meant to have it all together. Just before 2025, I was engaged to be married. There was a lot of things happening. And I came and said, Hayley, it's okay not to have it together, you know? Because there was so much pressure I was putting on myself before I became a wife. Like, I felt like I had to do so many things before I became a wife. Like, there were certain conversations I had with Sterling in our first year of marriage where I used to break down because I felt like I was failing as a wife. I'm going to be very honest. I felt like I was failing. I can't even come and tell you what the standard of a wife was for me in my head. But I had this unrealistic expectation on myself that I'm going to cook every day. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to clean every day. I'm going to do all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, Hells, you can't do it. And I started beating myself up because I genuinely could not do it. And it got to a point where I genuinely thought to myself, wow, like, Hells. But if you don't extend grace to yourself, what happens is you're going to continuously be a critic of yourself and beating yourself up for something that's actually quite impossible to do. Like, the type of lifestyle that I have, I travel so much. I've got different clients around the world. I do coaching, speaking. I'm a mentor. I'm a big sister. I'm a daughter. Like, there's so many different demands of me. And for me to have that expectation for myself where I'm going to be cool at home, cooking every day for my husband, clean the house, it's just unrealistic. And I had to extend grace and actually be like, Hells, like, you can't compare your expectation from what you've seen online, because everyone's different in how they shop in their marriage or their relationship. As a mother, as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, you have to look at your life for what it is and have that honest conversation and ask yourself, can you do it? And when I started having those hard conversations and those honest conversations with myself, saying, Hells, can you do it? Like, it's not about an expectation, it's about the realization of what your life is. When I started having those conversations with myself, that's when I felt like I could really extend grace and really embrace humanity. But it came with facing those things that I was very scared to face. I'm the type of person that I used to hate confrontation. What I mean by that is any hard conversation, I used to run away from it until I got with my husband. And one of the rules we had in our courtship was no matter how hard the conversation is, we'd have it. And we still have that in our marriage. And I've been quite transparent why I took a break from For the Record, because at the time that we were doing For the Record, there was a lot of things that I hadn't healed from, if I'm being honest. And I felt like I never wanted to show up in a platform where I'm opening up and speaking up that I hadn't necessarily healed from offline. And I'm very big on the idea of, please make sure you never use your platform as therapy, and please make sure that you're dealing with what you never need to deal with offline, so that when you show up online, you're being authentic. So now, me and my husband, we're in the best place ever, living abroad, we are living life, making money, shopping, scaling, we're living the dream, right? But that came with real healing, therapy, counseling, prayer, forgiveness. Ooh, we're gonna talk about the F word, baby. F word, baby. We're going to talk about forgiveness, because forgiveness isn't something that people talk about anymore. Forgiveness isn't something that people open about anymore. Like, how hard forgiveness is. Like, forgiveness isn't meant to be something that is meant to just come very easy and spontaneously. It's hard. When I think about forgiveness, there's so many different people I've had to forgive in my life, but one of the hardest people I had to really learn to forgive was myself. There's certain decisions I made when I was younger that I didn't realize I had resentment to my younger self for making. There's certain relationships I got into when I was younger. Ooh, I'm gonna go there. There's certain exes and certain people I've been in relationships with that I don't speak about, and there's reasons for it. But there is one particular relationship that I was in that I know it took me a long time for me to forgive myself for how I treated that person, and also the different experiences I had that tailored the way I think. And it made me view myself in a complete different way. It made me stop loving myself. And I know I had to forgive myself for the younger Hayley that fell in love. A puppy love, I don't think that was love. I think that was lust or infatuation. But I had to forgive myself basically for being in that. One of my mentees knew, she taught me something that was called Godspeed. And she basically said, Godspeed, the meaning of it is basically that what you knew at the time was the best you had. So give yourself grace for it. When I found out what that definition means, I was like, that is what I've needed for a long time in my life. I found the definition a few years ago, but I really am extending that definition to you guys. Like, one of the things I want you guys to remember is there's certain decisions you made when you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago, even a month ago, and you made that decision with the best that you had at the time. Don't beat yourself up for the decisions you made at the time. It's very easy to be like, well, I could have done this, I could have done that, but you didn't, because you didn't know how to. And that's okay, because we're living in a culture where people make it seem like you're meant to know everything. Listen, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to do business. I'm still learning how to be a wife. I'm still learning how to be a friend. I'm still learning how to be a daughter. Because the reality is, when I got married, the dynamics of all my friendships changed. The dynamics of all my relationships changed. I'm learning to be a sister to my best friend now as a married woman. It's very different to when I was single. It's very different to being a daughter when you're living with your mum to now living not just in a different house, but I'm traveling so much. I live in different countries, right? How do I show up up as a daughter? How do I show up as a sister, right? And I'm learning that right now, every single day as it goes. Because I don't know. There's no blueprint. Because people will be like, oh, there's a blueprint. No, there is no blueprint for how you should live your life. The best blueprint I have is the Bible. I'm going to be honest. I'll be in Proverbs. I'll be like, okay, get thy understanding. Let wisdom be the principal thing. Because the reality is, there's advice I can get from other people. But I'm going to be honest, guys. It's by God's grace. It's by God's grace. I was having a conversation with one of my mentees yesterday. She was like to me, Hayley, how do you do it all? I was like to her, babe, I don't. I said to her, I don't do it all. I show up to God every single day. I'm like, God, give me grace. Because most times I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm going to be honest. How honest can I be? I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that there's certain areas of my life that I'm still struggling with. I'm okay with the fact that there's certain things that mentally I still have to deal with. I think one of the perceptions I'm always trying to break is I never want to make it seem like I have it all together. And it's very easy for it to come across like that, especially as a speaker, somebody who's positive, I'm a person of faith. I'm always trying to put out good stuff, right? For the sake of inspiration and hope. But my podcast is where I'm very transparent. Listen, I ain't got it all together. And I'll be open about that. Listen, I'm one person that will boast and come and say, I need God the most, right? All of us who need God, we need God. And there's a reason for it, right? But the reason why I share that is because as a speaker, it's very easy to come across like you're the person that knows it all. If I'm being honest, I always come and say I'm not the speaker in the room. I'm actually probably the greatest student. And what I mean by the greatest student is I'm just the student that's willing to actually share her notes. That's who I am. I'm not necessarily the leader. I'm the student that is willing to share the notes. Because I'm constantly learning. I have mentors, I have counselors, I have people who I'm learning from. My husband is probably my greatest mentor, somebody who I learn from every single day with his insights, his perspective, and somebody who lives with me and obviously knows me best and has the best interest at heart. He's somebody who teaches me so much in life. I'm somebody who's constantly learning and reading and trying to gain feedback on how I can be either a better friend or a better daughter or even a better, leader in the different spheres that I may have a position of leadership in. But if I'm being completely honest, as I'm getting older, the more I'm actually realizing how much areas of my life that I didn't deal with when I'm younger are starting to come to the surface. And that's why I come and say, face your demons. If you have daddy issues, face that trauma, face them daddy issues. If you have mommy issues, face them mommy issues. If you have been abused in any way that you haven't necessarily dealt with, deal with it. Because you're robbing yourself of having the richness of life. You're robbing yourself of having a great quality of life. I really do believe that there's many people who don't have a great quality of life because they refuse to heal. So how is it that you heal? One of the things that I definitely would say is that healing first, as I said, starts with acceptance. You might have to journal all the areas of your life that you feel like you need healing in and why. It may start with journaling. It may start with brainstorming. It may start with talking, right? You know the best way that you communicate. You know the best way that you process information. I would definitely say start from there. Number 2, I definitely would say is speaking to people about it. It's definitely a good way because it allows you to not necessarily just get different perspective, but for you to know that you're supported, you're cared, and you're loved for. And I'll say number 3 is try your very best when you're in a season of healing to be protective of your space, because it's so easy when you're in a place that you're unraveling and you're unpeeling, you're extra sensitive. Anything can trigger you at that very point. I'm very big on just protecting your space in general. Because if you give idiot, and I'm going to say the word idiots, if you give them leeway to abuse you, trust me, they'll run it the whole way. And if you're not protective of your energy and your space, you are, as I said, robbing yourself of having the richness of life through love, through experiences, through relationships. And I think it's super important that you're around people who love you, support you, encourage you as you are going through that place of healing. And the last thing I'll come and say is that healing doesn't happen in a day. Healing happens daily. And I just want to remind you that it's okay not to have it all together. It's okay that you might feel like you're taking 5 steps forward and you might feel like you're taking 7 steps back. And that's okay. Before you can do 2 days of healing, at least try one. At least try one. Don't try and put a deadline or a timeline on your healing. I really do believe that, yes, God can accelerate a healing and God can do a big thing in a short amount of time. But just give yourself grace. As I said, there's going to be some areas of your life that is going to take a while. It might take years, and that's okay. But you need to extend yourself the grace. You need to be able to come and, as I said, have those honest conversations and say, hey, I'm struggling, but it's okay for me not to have it all together in a day. So one of the things I definitely would end it here with is, guys, face your demons. Face your demons. Have those hard conversations with yourself, most importantly, and be willing to have the hard conversations with anyone else around you. And one of the things I always come and say is the reason why it's important to face your demons is because we live in a time where everyone's pointing fingers. We live in a time where everyone around everybody is a narcissist. We live in a time where people are pointing fingers saying they're narcissists, they abuse me, they did it. But what if it's you? Yeah, what if you're the person that abused somebody? What if you're the person that is a bad friend? What if you're the person that's a narcissist? Oh, and how did we get there? No, but it's true though. Because how can everyone else be the problem? But when you point one finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And this is what happens when people refuse to heal. Everyone else is the problem. No, sometimes you are the problem. Sometimes you are the person that needs to pick up that mirror and say, it's me. Michael Jackson. I'm gonna make a change. For once in my life. R.I.P. Michael, man. R.I.P. Michael Jackson. No, but it's true though. You need to make a change. If you want to make a world a better place, better look at yourself and make a change. Make a change. Look in the mirror and make a change. Guys, this was a heavy episode. I just wanted to be honest, be real, but also share something that I think is so necessary in our generation. Because as I said, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? We have many people who are trying to attain something. They're trying to run to something, run from something, and they're not attending to it. They're not attending to themselves. They're not tending to their bleeding. And when I lost my cousin in 2018, it changed how I do life. It changed how I built. It changed how I do relationships. It changed how I did healing. I went to therapy. Still am doing counseling to some extent. I have marriage counselors. I have people that I speak to for counsel. I know I need to go back to therapy because it's been a while. And I'm not the type of person that is addicted to therapy. I'm not dependent on therapy, by the way. And that's a conversation for another day. Because there comes a time where people don't even accept when they've healed from something. So they keep telling themselves, oh, you're still broken in that area. When God has healed you a long time ago, but you haven't change your perception on a particular area of healing, that you still feel like, oh, I'm broken, I need help, trying to pacify and trying to get everything and everyone to fix you. And it's okay, God's already done the work. So there's certain times in my life that I don't need therapy. I'm in a place in my life where I want therapy. I want to be able to now come and be like, hey, like I'm mature enough to kind of basically deal with the things that I was not mature enough to deal with before. Whereas before I needed therapy. When I went to therapy, when I started it, I needed it. But now I'm in a place where I feel like I want it because I'm realizing there's a new level that God is calling me to. There's a new place that God is calling me to. And I said it in the last episode, too much that is given, much is required. And I know that the requirement for me in this next level of my life is healing. The requirement for me is for me to have those hard conversations with myself and to deal with myself and to deal with anything that I'm dealing with and to just be honest with myself, most importantly. And it's not to come and say I'm not honest with myself. It's not to come and say I'm not dealing with myself, but there's only to some extent that you can do it without some self-counsel or professional help. So yeah, I just wanted to be open and honest and just kind of be like, I'm in a place in my life where I'm really facing my demons and really having those hard conversations with myself, getting feedback from my husband, getting feedback from people around me that I love, and just trying to be a better person. Because as I said, there's no point trying to build an empire but you're not building yourself. Building you is all about building you. Building you is about having those honest, hard conversations with my listeners and just reminding them the power of healing and reminding them to do the necessary work whilst you're building. Because as I said, it's so easy to build that empire and you neglect yourself. It's so easy. Trust me. Like, don't be somebody who's leading and bleeding. Don't be somebody who's caught up in a fight of life. Because sometimes life be lifing. You're fighting for your life. Right? Don't be somebody you're fighting for your life. You're getting jabs left, right, and center. You're bleeding because of the fight you're in, and you're not attending to that blood. You're not attending to it. And the thing is, when my cousin was in a fight, his friends didn't realize he was as hurt as he was. And it's also really important to surround yourself with people who also know when you're bleeding, that can actually be honest with you and be like, yo, you need to stop, or you need to go therapy, or you need to heal. Because it's scary to be around people who won't be able to see when you're bleeding. It's very scary if you don't have people who are able to discern and be able to point out when you're in pain. But guys, I know it's been heavy. Let me put it up lighter again. Brother. No changes. One thing about me, I really flop lyrics, man. I never know lyrics. I literally work with a whole music artist, and every single time she's sending me new music and I love the song, I'm always singing the songs back to her. I'm never singing the lyrics properly. Sorry, this is a public apology to Anatoria, because she's somebody who I literally know her songs, like, because I work with her so closely, but I never sing her lyrics properly. And this is somebody who I speak to every single day. As somebody who manages her, this is what it is. But anyways, guys, I just want to come and say, connect with me on socials. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, please go back and listen to all the other episodes. Building You podcast by Hayley Mulenda, at Hayley Mulenda everywhere. Follow me, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend that Building You podcast is here, it's back, we're here to stay. And as I said, for the record, it will be coming back very soon, but I'm trying to build consistency, and this is what I mean in terms of facing my demon. I'm somebody who sometimes when it comes to consistency, I'm dealing with it. I'm trying, right? I'm really trying. Give me a round of applause, please. Anybody who's listened to the end of the episode, please. I'm trying with the consistency for this podcast. It's all by God's grace. But guys, stay connected, follow, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend that Building You podcast is back. But we out, baby. Goodbye.